My dad was almost 30 years in the Air Force, and my entire childhood was traveling around the country. I loved it. My mother was amazing because here she had these 6 kids. My mother made us feel a sense of home no matter where our home was.
Donna is the eldest. She was the parent one, and I was the fun one to the one. It's true.
Like, I'll never forget when Mom and Dad drove off and left us in North Carolina for the summer while they were looking for a house for us, and told us that Donna was the boss.
In charge.
She was in charge, which she took like completely seriously.
We had dinner together every night as a family. We had this kind of rule at the dinner table where my dad would kind of go around each one of us and ask us about something that we had read that had to do with what was going on in politics and what was going on in the world. And you had to be there for that conversation. Nobody could escape it. And it was great because it made us think about our place in the world. I was admitted to the first class of women at the Air Force Academy. We got word that women would not be allowed to go into flight training. And I thought to myself, well, the whole point of my going to the Air Force Academy is because I wanted to fly jets. And so I decided to apply to Wake Forest. I visited the campus, and I remember that moment that I walked onto the quad. I looked up, I saw those beautiful trees, I saw Waite Chapel at the end of the quad. It just felt like home. I had great friendships with the girls on the hall.
So we met the very first night at Wake. We stayed out in the lounge and we talked and we talked.
Her father was in the military as well. And so maybe that's why we hit it off. I don't know.
Donna and I, we were great friends right from the very beginning.
We were friends from the time we arrived at the university until now. In my 11th grade class yearbook is something that says, one day I want to be a lawyer and I want to be in politics. I decided that I really wanted to do public policy work related to domestic violence.
Donna is one of those rare people that people call it empathy, but I think she just intuitively understands other people's pain.
Even though she has a soft-spoken manner, you never ever mistake that for weakness or wishy-washiness or insecurity.
She's very resilient. That's the biggest thing, resilient. Oh my goodness.
She was leaning in way before anybody even heard of that term.
The first time I met Donna was at a National Lobby Day here in Washington, D.C. And it was really Donna's energy and passion that was so inspirational. I could have followed her around all day that day and listened to her talk to members of Congress because she just really knew how to get people engaged.
We worked together to pass the Violence Against Women Act.
The Violence Against Women Act was something that was so long overdue and really gave a voice and rights to women in that realm. I mean, we're still dealing with it today, and Me Too movement is now something that's grown out of all of the steps that came before that, and Donna was a big part of that arc.
Working with the legislature, the House and the Senate, to change policy, there was something about that that really grabbed me. And it was from there that, working in my local community in Maryland, I decided to run for Congress.
It was 2006. She was running for a congressional seat, challenging an incumbent in Prince George's County, Maryland.
I ran hard. We did a little poll, and I started out with name recognition of like 5%, which must have been just my family members.
You were the best campaigner because you would like accost people in the parking lot.
Oh, now I did do campaigning on my own at the grocery store, in the grocery store line. at the park, wherever I was.
She lost by a little bit, and I thought, well, that's the end of Donna Edwards. And then she won 2 years later. She came back, talk about resilience, and became an incredibly important member of Congress for 8 years.
Throughout her career, Congresswoman Edwards has been a powerful voice for the people of Maryland and all Americans, particularly America's women and girls.
There is nothing like public service, and when you think that only about 11,000 people have ever served in the House of Representatives, and only a fraction of those women, and only a fraction of that fraction black women, it's a really big deal.
One of the things that I've noticed is when Donna speaks to our Wake Washington students and talks about her career, it really gives them something to aspire to. When she's able to talk about legislation that she's had a hand in creating, they can see that she's one of us, and if she can do it, what are the things that I can do? And she sort of inspires that in them, which has been really great to see.
When I came out of Congress, I really had to figure out how I was going to reinvent the next stage of my life. I go back to the question that my father asked me when I was in college and I decided to pick English as a major. And now here I am. I'm a contributing columnist for the Washington Post. Combining that with my love of public policy and politics on television and on radio, it's a way to have a voice in the process and around issues, and still figuring out that that is a way to serve without even serving in public office. When I was at Wake Forest, we always heard about our motto, Pro Humanitate. When it's embedded in that way, you don't even think about it. And it turns out you look over the span of your life, to see that in fact I've been living those values. And it's not over, because there's still values to be lived.